What if the only person who remembered your child's Christmas was someone you barely noticed? Marcus Westfield stood at his office window on Christmas Eve, watching snow dust the city below. His penthouse gleamed with expensive decorations, but felt cold as the winter air outside. Behind him, his 7-year-old daughter Emma sat alone on their leather sofa, tracing patterns on a wrapped box no bigger than her hand. It was the only gift under their towering tree. Marcus had been too busy closing deals to notice that Emma had spent the entire holiday season with only the cleaning staff for company. He didn't know that Rosa, their housekeeper, had used her own money to buy that small present. He didn't know his daughter had been asking the same question for weeks, softly, to anyone who would listen. And he certainly didn't know what Emma was about to ask Rosa on Christmas morning. "Where are you watching from tonight?" Marcus Westfield had built his fortune from nothing, climbing from a studio apartment in Queens to a penthouse overlooking Central Park. He owned 3 tech companies and had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. But his success had cost him something he didn't realize was slipping away. His wife, Jennifer, had left 2 years ago, unable to compete with his 80-hour work weeks and endless business trips. She'd remarried and moved to California, visiting Emma only twice a year. Marcus told himself he was doing it all for his daughter, securing her future, but the truth was simpler and sadder. He didn't know how to be alone with her. Emma was a quiet child with her mother's gentle eyes and her father's determination. She'd learned not to ask her father to read bedtime stories or help with homework. She'd learned that "Daddy's busy" meant she should entertain herself. At school, other children talked about baking cookies with their parents or decorating trees together. Emma listened and said nothing. She'd become an expert at being invisible. Rosa Martinez had been cleaning the Westfield penthouse for 3 years. She was 58, with silver streaking her black hair and hands rough from decades of work. She'd raised 4 children of her own in a cramped apartment in the Bronx, all of them grown now with families of their own. She worked 6 days a week, cleaning homes for wealthy families who rarely learned her last name. But Rosa had kind eyes, and she noticed things others missed. She noticed that Emma ate breakfast alone every morning, her little legs swinging from a chair too tall for her. She noticed the girl's artwork taped to the refrigerator, never mentioned or praised. She noticed that Emma's birthday had passed in September with just a card from her father's assistant and an expensive doll still in its box. Most of all, Rosa noticed that as Christmas approached, Emma watched her father with desperate hope each evening, waiting for him to ask about her wish list or suggest they shop together. One Tuesday in early December, Rosa found Emma crying quietly in her bedroom. The girl had gotten an assignment to write about her family's Christmas traditions. Emma's paper was blank. Rosa sat on the edge of the bed, her cleaning supplies forgotten in the hallway. "What's wrong, Pequeña?" she asked gently. Emma looked up with red eyes. "We don't have any traditions. Daddy's always working. Last Christmas, he gave me money and told me to buy something online." Her voice cracked. "I don't even know if he likes Christmas." Rosa's heart broke a little. She thought of her own Christmases, loud and cramped and full of laughter, her children fighting over who got to put the star on their little plastic tree. She thought of the tamales they'd make together, the midnight mass where they sang off-key, the way her husband would read the nativity story in Spanish while her kids acted it out with dish towels for robes. "Tell you what," Rosa said, pulling Emma close. "You can write about my family's traditions. I'll tell you stories, and you can borrow them for your homework. Would that help?" Emma nodded against her shoulder, and Rosa held her, knowing this child needed more than borrowed stories. As Christmas drew closer, Rosa watched Marcus rush through the penthouse each morning, barely glancing at his daughter. She watched Emma's hope dim a little more each day. And Rosa made a decision. She couldn't give Emma what she truly needed, but she could give her something. On her Saturday off, Rosa took the subway to a small toy store in her neighborhood and spent $43 she'd been saving for her own grandchildren's gifts. She bought a stuffed bear with button eyes and soft brown fur, the kind meant to be hugged until it wore smooth with love. The week before Christmas, Marcus closed the biggest deal of his career. His company merged with a European firm, securing his financial legacy for generations. He worked through 3 nights straight, sleeping on his office couch, missing Emma's school winter concert where she sang a solo. His assistant sent flowers to the school with his apologies. Emma accepted them with a polite smile and threw them in the trash on the way home. Rosa was there when Emma walked through the door that evening, her small face carefully blank. "How was the concert, sweetie?" Rosa asked, already knowing. Emma shrugged. "Fine. Nobody came for me, anyway." She disappeared into her room before Rosa could respond. Later, Rosa heard soft crying through the door but knew better than to intrude. Some hurts needed privacy. On Christmas Eve morning, Marcus finally came home. He was exhausted but triumphant, already planning how to explain to Emma that this deal meant her future was secure, that she'd never want for anything. He found her in the living room, staring at their enormous Christmas tree decorated by a professional service. Beneath it sat the single wrapped box, about the size of a book, with Emma's name written in Rosa's careful handwriting. "Is that all you want for Christmas?" Marcus asked, trying for lightness. "Just one present." Emma looked at him with eyes older than 7. "It's all I'm getting," she said quietly. "Rosa bought it for me." "You forgot, didn't you?" The words hit Marcus like a slap. "Emma, I didn't forget. I've been working. I was going to take you shopping, but the deal got complicated and He stopped, hearing the excuses spill out. His daughter's expression didn't change. "It's okay, Daddy. You're always busy." Something in her tone, that resigned acceptance, made Marcus's throat tighten. When had his little girl stopped expecting anything from him? When had he become so small in her eyes? "Emma, I'll make it up to you. After Christmas, we'll go anywhere you want. We'll spend a whole week together, just us. I promise." Emma nodded without belief. She'd heard promises before. "Rosa's coming tomorrow morning to bring me the present. You don't have to stay. I know you have work." Marcus wanted to argue, to insist he'd be there, but he did have a conference call scheduled for noon on Christmas Day. He'd already committed. "I'll be here in the morning," he said finally. "I want to see you open your gift." Emma nodded again and left the room. Marcus stood alone beside their expensive tree, feeling his success turn to ash in his mouth. If this moment touched your heart, please give the video a thumbs up. He last told her a story or kissed her goodnight. He couldn't remember, and the realization broke something in his chest. Christmas morning arrived gray and cold. Rosa came at 8, earlier than usual, carrying the wrapped present carefully in a cloth shopping bag. She wore her church dress, navy blue with small flowers, and had taken extra care with her appearance. This felt important somehow, though she couldn't say why. Marcus answered the door himself, which surprised her. He was usually still sleeping when she arrived. He looked terrible, with shadows under his eyes and his expensive pajamas wrinkled. "Merry Christmas, Rosa," he said quietly. "Emma's been awake since 6, waiting for you." Rosa found Emma in the living room, already dressed in her best outfit, a red velvet dress that was slightly too small. The girl's face lit up when she saw Rosa. "You came. I was worried you might stay with your family." Rosa knelt down, her knees creaking slightly, and pulled Emma into a hug. "I promised I'd bring your present, didn't I? I always keep my promises to you, Pequeña." She handed Emma the wrapped box, and Marcus watched from the doorway as his daughter's hands trembled with excitement. Emma tore the paper carefully, trying to save it, the way children do when presents are rare. Inside was the teddy bear, soft and simple, probably from a discount store. Emma lifted it out with reverence, as if it were made of gold. She pressed it to her chest, and tears spilled down her cheeks. "It's perfect," she whispered. "It's the most perfect present ever." She looked up at Rosa with such naked love that Marcus had to look away. "Thank you, Rosa. Thank you so much." Emma held the bear tightly. Rosa smoothed the girl's hair, her own eyes wet. "You're welcome, sweetheart. I wanted you to have something special for Christmas." Emma was quiet for a moment, clutching her bear, and then she said something that changed everything. Rosa. Her voice was small and uncertain. Will you be my mommy? The question hung in the air like falling snow. Rosa's breath caught. Marcus felt his heart stop. Emma rushed on, the words tumbling out. I know you have your own family, but you're the only one who remembers things about me. You know I like strawberry jam better than grape. You know I'm scared of thunder. You helped me with my homework when I was stuck, and you always say good morning like you're happy to see me. Tears streamed down her face now. Daddy's too busy, and my real mom lives far away, and I just want someone who wants to be with me. The silence that followed was devastating. Rosa's hands shook as she pulled Emma close, and Marcus watched his daughter bury her face in the cleaning woman's shoulder and sob. Have you ever felt invisible to the people who should see you most? Let us know in the comments. Rosa held Emma and looked at Marcus over the girl's head. Her eyes held no judgment, only a deep sadness that made Marcus feel naked and ashamed. Oh, Pequeña, Rosa whispered. You're not asking the right person. Your daddy's right here. He loves you so much. But Emma shook her head against Rosa's dress. He doesn't have time to love me. He only has time for work. Marcus felt something crack open inside him. He'd thought he had time. He'd thought he was being a good father by providing for her future. He'd thought Seven was young, that there would be years and years to build their relationship. But watching his daughter cling to another woman, begging to be wanted, he finally understood what he'd lost while he was busy winning. He'd lost her. Unless he could find a way to get her back. Marcus walked into the living room and knelt on the floor beside Emma and Rosa. His expensive pajamas creased on the carpet, his billion-dollar empire irrelevant in this moment. Emma, he said, his voice breaking. Look at me, sweetheart. Please. Emma lifted her tear-stained face from Rosa's shoulder but kept holding her bare. Her eyes held that same polite distance, the wall she'd built to protect herself from disappointment. I've been the worst father in the world, Marcus said. The words felt inadequate, but he pushed on. I thought I was doing the right thing, working so hard to give you everything. But I gave you everything except what you actually needed. He reached out carefully, not sure if she'd let him touch her. I gave you money and things and security, but I didn't give you me. I didn't give you my time or my attention or my love. Not in any way you could feel. Emma stared at him, uncertain. You're busy, she said, as if that explained everything. You have important work. Marcus shook his head, tears filling his own eyes now. Nothing is more important than you. Nothing. Not any deal, not any company, not any amount of money. I've been so stupid, Emma. I've been so blind. He looked at Rosa. Thank you for giving my daughter what I should have been giving her all along. Thank you for seeing her when I didn't. Rosa's expression softened. Mr. Westfield, she's your daughter. She doesn't need me. She needs you. Marcus nodded. You're right. And I need her. He turned back to Emma. I can't undo the last 2 years. I can't give you back the birthdays I missed, or the concerts I skipped, or the mornings I left before you woke up. But I can promise you this, baby girl. Starting right now, today, I'm going to be the father you deserve. I'm going to make you breakfast and read you bedtime stories and help you with your homework. I'm going to come to every school event and remember your favorite things and be someone you can count on. Emma's lower lip trembled. But what about your work? Marcus smiled through his tears. I'm going to hire people to do most of it. I'm going to work from home more. I'm going to make sure that you always know you're the most important thing in my life. He held out his arms. I can't ask you to forgive me right away. I know I have to earn your trust back. But will you let me try? For a long moment, Emma didn't move. Then, slowly, she crawled from Rosa's embrace into her father's arms. Marcus held her like he should have been holding her all along, tightly and carefully, as if she were the most precious thing in the world. Because she was. Emma sobbed against his chest, and he cried into her hair, and Rosa watched with tears running down her cheeks. "I'm so sorry," Marcus whispered. "I'm so sorry, baby. I love you more than anything." Emma's small voice came muffled against his shirt. "Do you really promise? You promise you'll stay?" Marcus pulled back just enough to look at her face. "I promise. With everything I am, I promise." If you've been enjoying this story, subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. That Christmas afternoon, something shifted in the Westfield penthouse. Marcus called his assistant and canceled his conference call. He called his board members and announced he was taking a month off, effective immediately. He called his lawyers and instructed them to restructure his companies so he could work remotely 3 days a week. And then he put his phone away and didn't look at it again until Emma was asleep that night. They made hot chocolate together, Marcus fumbling with the microwave while Emma giggled at his incompetence. They sat on the floor by the Christmas tree, and Marcus asked his daughter about school, really listened to her answers, learned about her best friend Sarah and her favorite teacher and how much she loved art class. Emma showed him drawings she'd made, kept in a folder under her bed, never shown because no one had asked to see them. Marcus looked at each one carefully, praising her use of color, the way she captured movement, the stories each picture told. Rosa stayed for a while, making them a simple lunch of soup and sandwiches, and Marcus insisted she join them at the table. They talked like 3 people who genuinely cared about each other, and Emma sat between them glowing with happiness. Before Rosa left, Marcus took her aside. "I can never thank you enough for what you did. You gave my daughter love when she needed it most. You gave her Christmas when I didn't even notice it was coming." Rosa smiled gently. "Mr. Westfield, I didn't do anything special. I just saw a lonely little girl and wanted to make her smile. Any person with a heart would do the same." Marcus shook his head. "Not everyone does, though. You did. And I want to do something for you." He told her about the college fund he was setting up for her grandchildren, about the bonus he was giving her, but Rosa waved it away. "That's kind, but I don't need repayment for loving a child. Just be the father she needs. That's all I want." Marcus nodded, understanding that some gifts can't be repaid, only honored. That evening, Marcus kept his promise. He made dinner with Emma, ordered pizza after they burned the pasta, and they ate it sitting on the kitchen floor, laughing. He read her 3 bedtime stories, let her choose each one, and did all the voices until she giggled so hard she hiccuped. He tucked her in with her new bear, which she'd named Joy, and her old rabbit. "Thank you for giving me another chance," he whispered as her eyes grew heavy. Emma reached up and touched his face. "I love you, Daddy." The words were worth more than every dollar he'd ever made. In the weeks that followed, Marcus rebuilt his relationship with his daughter piece by piece. He learned her rhythms, her fears, her dreams. He showed up for her school plays and art shows. He made breakfast every morning and asked about her day every evening. He wasn't perfect. He stumbled sometimes, caught himself reaching for his phone at dinner, had to remind himself to slow down and really see her. But Emma was patient with him, and their bond grew stronger than Marcus had imagined possible. And Rosa. She continued cleaning their penthouse twice a week, but she became more than that. She became family, the grandmother Emma had never known, always welcome at their table, always remembered on birthdays and holidays. Years later, when Emma graduated from college, it was Rosa she thanked in her speech, along with her father, for teaching her that love isn't about grand gestures or expensive gifts. It's about showing up. It's about being present. It's about remembering what matters most. If you enjoyed this story, please remember to like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more heartwarming tales like this one. Thank you for spending this Christmas story with us. May you always remember that the best gift we can give is our time, our presence, and our love to those who need it most.